Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a build guide for the Inquisitive Rogue in Baldur's Gate 3. This is kind of like a detective rogue. It specializes in single target damage. This is part of the Book of Rogues 5e Rogue Subclasses mod made by IncogneatoBurrito. It's got some fun abilities like rolling an insight check to be able to do a sneak attack without advantage. IncogneatoBurrito did a very great job on this mod, and I'm actually joined by a very special guest right now, an actual burrito. And as far as stats would go for this class, we're going to be based around dexterity and constitution, obviously for survivability, but also insight, or wisdom and insight. Don't forget to take your skill proficiencies in insight because we're going to use an insight check to be able to get a free sneak attack without advantage, which is really nice to have. So this is a good stat spread. Wisdom will also help out with wisdom saves. Great. Level 2 gives us our bonus action, disengage, dash, and hide. But we also get at level 3 to our subclass here, the Inquisitive. So we get the subclass feature Ear for Deceit. When you make an insight check, a roll of a 7 or lower is considered an 8. We also have the Eye for Detail. Roll a perception check to search for signs of hidden and invisible creatures who must contest it with a stealth check. Creatures that fail this are revealed until the start of your next turn. The next attack I made against that revealed creature will have advantage, and this is a bonus action. Again, this is why it feels like a detective, because you're on the look for details. But we also get the insightful fighting. So roll an insight check to study a target's tactics, who must contest it with a deception check. Creatures who fail get insightful fighting tactics assessed. Basically meaning that we get a sneak attack off on them without requiring advantage. So pretty fun. I'll be covering the other subclass. I've already covered a soul knife. You can check out the build from that if you're curious. Into level 4, we get our first feat. Now, since we are kind of a single target damage expert, it's sometimes a good idea to go with the alert feed because that means we can target our target that we want to remove. Let's say they're in the load order before our next character to go. This can be good so that we can go first, free them up so that they don't get to attack our teammates, or go with an ability score improvement on dexterity, which will also do the same, but increase your armor class and initiative and ranged weapon attack rolls. At level 5, we get evasion or uncanny dodge, so when an attack hits us, we can take half the damage. This does require our reaction to be able to activate that, so just a heads up on that. Level 6 gives us another choice in skill proficiencies. Intimidation and stealth are good ones to go with, I guess. If you didn't take stealth previously, you should probably have stealth there. But level 7 gives us the evasion now, so successful dexterity saving throw will no longer take damage from spells. And if we fail, we only take half, so that's half less spell damage all the time. Pretty good. Level 8 will give us another choice in feat. At this point, I think the alert feat is a good choice. You can also go with the Savage Attacker. This re-rolls your sneak attack die, so that will just flat out make your sneak attacks much more powerful. Pretty good choice as well. Level 9 gives us our subclass feature, Steady Eye. Advantage on perception and investigation checks. This is nice. This is really, really good. Makes you, again, feel like a detective. So this could actually be a good Batman-style build. Level 10 will give us another feat, and I actually think at this point it's good to go with the Savage Attacker. We just want to get that extra damage. But if you find that you need a bit more survivability, increasing your dex or constitution can be good choices as well. Dexterity for higher armor class. Level 11 gives us a reliable talent. When we're proficient, the lowest we will roll is a 10. That's just good. Level 12, another feat here, and this can be the final level. I will take this to level 12 or 20, so you can watch that if you're curious, but you don't have to. This is still going to be decently strong at level 12. However, the best ability for this is actually at level 17, so I'd recommend trying this level 20 mod because the rogue is a little bit undertuned. But I like to take the dexterity all the way up to 20 there. It's just going to give us more survivability. It's a good choice. The rogue does get an extra feat at level 10 there, so that's good. Level 13 gives us our scrutiny point, so you sense the presence of illusions and shapeshifters, exposing them to your attacks. So this gives you the unerring eye. Uncover invisible and disguised creatures within 9 meters. Identifying them this way will make them not be able to turn invisible again. These creatures will also have a penalty to their attack rolls equal to your proficiency bonus. It's pretty good stuff. And we can do this a number of times equal to our wisdom modifier. So yeah, it's good if you want to spec into a little bit higher wisdom or use any of the items that can increase your wisdom. Blind sense, you're aware of location of hidden or invisible creatures nearby. Sometimes works. Level 15 gives us our slippery mind. This is really good. Proficiency in wisdom saving throws. Again, anything that can help out with wisdom saves is super useful. Now level 16, we can actually do a kind of a fun build here because we are one of the better ranged attackers as far as rogues go. So we can actually go with something like Sharpshooter, which will give us a negative to the attack rolls, but a plus 10 to damage. And there's ways to apply vulnerabilities to piercing damage, so that becomes 20 damage. This makes us a very powerful attacker because all of our attacks are going to be piercing damage. So I personally like to take Sharpshooter. There's one more feat we can also take a little bit later on. I'll show you guys. Level 17 gives us our eye for weakness. So this is really good. So while your insightful fighting feature is applied to an enemy, your sneak attack damage against that target is also increased by a 3d6. That is huge. So that's the free, or not free, but the sneak attack with it requiring advantage. So it now is going to be one of the strongest single target damage attacks in the game. Pretty crazy. Level 18, this elusive doesn't actually work properly. Maybe there'll be a future update to the level 20 mod that'll have that working. And finally, level 19, we get to take our last feat. Now, we took Sharpshooter. We can also go with Crossbow Expert. There's a reason that I'm recommending Crossbow Expert, because we do close range crossbow attacks. This means that we can do an arrow of many targets, which is a really powerful way for the rogue to not be so weak in combat. Really with the rogue, since they get overwhelmed quickly, like a fighter can go around with a greatsword and attack 3 targets, like no big deal. That could end 3 targets from attacking your team. The rogue is only really able to do that to 1 target. And if your character's spec'd out, like if you're the main character, you probably are using Illithid abilities, and there's ways that you can use like an arrow of many targets to take out like 4 targets at a time pretty quickly. But Crossbow Expert, besides the fact, lets us also do close range crossbow attacks. So crossbow attacks are going to be stronger with our Sharpshooter than using a normal weapon attack. And we can also use the piercing shots to give our gaping wounds for additional turns, which is okay. But it's really for that close range disadvantage. Also, another thing with arrow of many targets, if you have someone in your team that can paralyze, hold person, or put a target to sleep, if you attack from close range with this and use an arrow of many targets, it crits everybody. So pretty crazy. And final level, we just get some health. Now, this is the Amethyst outfit from the Enchanted Threads from Nexus Mods. All right, so for gear from the base game, the Mask of Soul Perception will help out with our Sharpshooter, although if you have a very bad chance of hitting a target, you can also toggle off that benefit. This is just a good one, too, for the initiative benefits. We also get the Deathstalker Mantle, turning invisible, which can then also proc our hand crossbows, the Hellfire Hand Crossbow to inflict burning, which will then proc our Firestoker to do additional piercing damage, which will proc our Ballast Armor to double that damage with the Aura of Murder, which also procs our Boots of Stormy Clamor, which, because the Aura of Murder is a condition that can proc the Reverberation. We're also going to be looking out for critical hits. The Crater Flesh Gloves are great for that by spreading a bit of extra damage. You could also use something like the Helldust Gloves if you want to add additional fire damage onto your attacks, which is kind of nice. But I personally don't mind going with this one if we're going to be rolling for crits with something like the Knife of the Undermountain King as well, because this will give us increased critical hit chance. It's an Act 1 weapon. It's a great one. And also, when you roll damage with 2 or less, you reroll the damage die, and it comes with Shadow Blade built in. We could also, if you really wanted to, take a Ring of Shadow Blade. There is one. Give yourself a free Shadow Blade, unequip the ring, you keep the Shadow Blade, but this is a better weapon for this build. And then we also got in the offhand the Blade of the First Blood. There's a reason that I have this in the offhand. So this also gives us the improved critical, so this increases our critical hit chance. But on top of that, whenever a creature attacks us and misses, we retaliate and gain True Strike. This is also a bound weapon, so we can't drop it. And it also gives us a +1 armor class. So this is great for a couple of reasons. You also get the bonus action True Strike, which is nice. But what's good about that is we're going to be able to do a reaction attack. So that's very powerful first. It's just increasing overall damage output. Now, we also get the Hellfire Hand Crossbow and Firestoker as mentioned, and the Ring of Free Actions so that we don't get slowed down by any difficult terrain, can be paralyzed. I also like the Shadow Cloaked Ring. If you're lightly obscured, you get a 1d4 bonus to damage, which is great. And then also the Amulet of Greater Health as well. You can also throw on the Eversight Ring and use Arrows of Darkness to hide out. And there's also some other items that can give you darkness as well, but they don't really synergize with this build, so the ring would be the best choice. So you can see here our insightful sneak attacks are really strong because it does upwards of an 87 damage there. This one with the 80. Crossbows being a little bit more powerful. It doesn't even factor in the, it's going to be very powerful with the advantage too. If you can get advantage, because that's 2 dice rolls that you'll be doing. We have that increased critical hit chance. This is pretty powerful. It doesn't even factor in, if we get a crit, the crazy amounts of extra damage. And this is even further crazy if you play as a half orc. And then we have our other ones here, but we do need to set up with the insightful fighting first. So there's a target that I just want gone, this one right here. So I'm going to use this here. What's great about that is it actually applied 2 conditions there. So we got double the reverberation, so nice. And then we have the insightful tactics there, so we can use our ranged sneak attack. And this is likely going to be a one-shot, so let's see the damage. I could have went a little closer, yeah, 105. So if I was close to that target, that would have been 210 damage. That is nuts. Now, the only problem is the rogue does not have multiple attacks. But what's funny is we can actually go around applying reverberation because the Aura of Murder will count as a condition. It sometimes procs it, sometimes doesn't. It's a little bit weird with how it works. But really, our best option right now is to just go with our 99% hit chance. We got advantage here because we're invisible, but we're trying to roll for a crit to hopefully take out multiple enemies. That didn't. 50, 30, 30, and 18 damage. That's pretty good. And we applied reverberation onto one of them too. So while it wasn't like the best turn, it wasn't a bad turn either. Now, Uncanny Dodge is not always worth using because we actually have another reaction we can use with this item, and it's not Charm. We got hit there, but we have a decent armor class, so this would have been a choice time to use it. When you get hit with a critical hit, it's probably best to use your Uncanny Dodge there. I wanted to save it for the true strike riposte that we get from our dagger there, which gives us a little bit more damage, because that's the only reason the rogue is not that great, as it struggles with damage output. This one is a single target beast, like it does a ton of damage on a single target, but it's only able to do an attack like once per turn, so that is obviously a big downside to it. And we applied reverberation again with that Aura of Murder. It's really touchy on how it does it. It's like sometimes once per turn, sometimes you can get it multiple times a turn. And here we go, true strike riposte. So this is nice because this actually gives us one attack here. That was a lot of damage. So it does our main weapon attack there, and since I had reaction sneak attacks on, that was able to proc the 10d6 piercing, re-rolled it, and made it vulnerable. That was kind of crazy. 38 damage plus 94. It's kind of what I wanted to do with this, and the reason I took it, just because, again, we struggle with damaging, so if we can use our reaction as a resource to damage enemies, that is good. So yeah. So it's another turn, another insightful fighting. This is really worth using. That extra 3d6 and being able to sneak attack them is just really good. So I'll go there, and then I'll move in a little bit so that they get hit with the Aura of Murdered there. Now they're marked for it, and then I can go ahead with the... I forgot, I used my sneak attack on the reaction, unfortunately. If you get an Arrow of Humanoid Slaying, that can work too. I guess I'll just go with a Arrow of Many Targets, because that was able to take it one and apply Reverberation, and somehow fire damage on this target. I must have did something weird. Yeah, oof, I'm in a tough spot now, because again, this is where it does struggle a little bit. With the damage output, I was able to take out one target there and do a bit of damage on others. 36 damage from the Aura of Murder. Not bad. Sharpshooter plus Arrow of Many Targets plus the Ballast Armor plus Crossbow Expert really does give it a bit of extra damage that it so desperately needs. And we'll get one more attack here. 17, 14. Okay, we got one more target down. Actually, I really like it with Sonic Backlash. I don't know how I did it, but they did a Mass Cure Wounds, and I used my reaction for that instead this round, and it took them out. So that was good. So I saved my sneak attack, actually, this time around. Look for the target that has the most health, because they're going to get the greatest, obviously, benefit of this. You're going to roll the Insightful Fighting again, and then we're just going to go with the sneak attack. And this time, I'm actually going to get up close. So we got, again, the 4 stacks Reverberation is really nice. And then go with our sneak attack here, 75% hit chance, and boom, 92. Okay, that wasn't crazy as I was thinking. 92 damage is still pretty nice, though. And then I guess the really best thing we got is just the arrows. So, yeah, the detective doesn't want to get its hands dirty. This is the Batman-esque build. So, Arrow of Humanoid Slaying for 5 health points. Sure, we're Bruce Wayne. So, yeah, that is the Inquisitive Rogue in Baldur's Gate 3. I really like the concept of it. It's fun. You also have the eye to detail here. Love the VFX of it. Super cool. Super cool. IncogneatoBurrito did a fantastic job. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me also know which of the subclasses you want to see covered next. I also covered the Soul Knife Rogue, so you can check that out if you're curious. And I hope you guys all have a great day. We'll catch you in the next one.